Hey Reddit, buckle up because this is a wild one. I never thought I'd be posting here, but after what happened last week, I need to get this off my chest. If you've ever dealt with entitled parents, you'll understand why this was the last straw for me. For some background, my name is Jake, and I've always had a strained relationship with my parents. Growing up, my younger brother, Ethan, was the golden child. He got everything: praise, attention, money, gifts, while I was the family's afterthought. I was expected to be the responsible one, the mature one, the one who didn't need anything. I tolerated it for years, thinking that maybe, just maybe, things would change when I had a family of my own. I was so wrong. This all started last Christmas when my wife, Emily, our 6-year-old son, Leo, and I went to my parents' house for the holiday gathering. My mother insisted we come, despite me having my doubts. "It'll be fun for the kids," she said. "Leo should spend time with his family," she said. Stupidly, I believed her. The living room was a winter wonderland of wrapped gifts. Boxes piled high, glittering bows, the whole 9 yards. My mom made a big show of passing them out, handing my niece a brand new iPad, my nephew a PS5, Ethan's wife an expensive designer bag, and Ethan himself a damn Rolex. And Leo? Nothing. At first, I thought there had to be some mistake. Maybe his gift got mixed up? But when my mom locked eyes with me and smirked, I knew exactly what was happening. Leo, the sweet, innocent boy that he is, didn't throw a fit. He just watched as his cousins tore through their expensive gifts. But after a while, he tugged on my mom's sleeve and asked, in the softest voice, "Grandma, why didn't I get a present?" Her response: "Gifts are for those who earn them. Your cousin is the only one who matters." I swear, I stopped breathing. Leo's little face crumpled. He looked at me, confused, like he couldn't understand why his grandma didn't love him enough to even get him a single present. My wife was gripping my arm so tightly her nails dug into my skin. The whole room went dead silent. Even my brother, who had been laughing a minute ago, looked uncomfortable. I turned to my mother, my voice eerily calm. "I understand. This is the last time we'll speak." Then, without another word, I took my son's hand and walked out. My dad sputtered something, but I didn't care. My mom didn't even try to stop me. The drive home was quiet, Leo sniffling in the back seat, confused and heartbroken. When we got home, I gave him the biggest hug, swearing to myself that I would never let my parents hurt him again. Then, a week later, they showed up at my door, crying. And that's when things got interesting. A week after the Christmas disaster, I was enjoying a quiet evening with my wife and Leo when there was a loud, frantic knocking at the door. Emily shot me a look. "You think it's them?" "Oh, I know it's them," I muttered, standing up. I opened the door to see my parents standing there. My mom's usual cold, calculating expression was gone. Her face was streaked with tears. My dad, who was usually just her spineless sidekick, looked pale and miserable. "Jake, please," my mother croaked. "We need to talk." I crossed my arms. "No, you need to talk. I don't need a damn thing from you." My dad sighed, rubbing his temples. "Can we come inside?" I let out a sharp laugh. "You mean into the house where my son, the one you humiliated, lives?" "No. Whatever you have to say, say it here." My mom let out a shaky breath, looking down. That's when I knew, whatever had happened, it had shaken her bad. Then she dropped the bomb. "Ethan stole everything," she whispered. I blinked. "Excuse me." My dad clenched his jaw. "Your brother. He drained our accounts. Every last cent." I didn't react. I just stared at them, waiting for the punchline. But my mother just kept rambling, her voice shaking. "He took the money, the jewelry, even the damn Rolex we gave him for Christmas. He moved out with his wife and cut us off." Now that made me raise an eyebrow. "Cut you off? You mean the golden child decided you weren't worth keeping around?" She flinched. "Jake, please. We don't know what to do. We need help." That's when it hit me. They weren't here because they were sorry. They were here because they had nothing left. Emily, who had been standing behind me, scoffed. "Oh, so now that you're broke, you suddenly remember you have another son?" My mom snapped her head up, looking offended. "That's not fair. We made mistakes, but we love you." I let out a low chuckle. "You love me? You love me? That's funny, because last week you looked my 6-year-old son in the eye and told him he wasn't worthy of a Christmas gift. And now you expect me to help you." She had the audacity to look angry. "We're your parents. You owe us." There it was. The entitlement. I shook my head. No, Ethan owed you. And guess what? You picked the wrong son. My dad stepped forward, his voice more level. Jake, we don't have anywhere to go. We need money. Just enough to get back on our feet. I stared at him. So let me get this straight. You want me to hand over my hard-earned money to the people who treated me like trash for decades? The people who humiliated my son on Christmas? My mom's face twisted in frustration. We raised you. We fed you. You wouldn't even have your money if it weren't for us. I laughed in her face. You didn't raise me. You neglected me while worshiping Ethan. You didn't support me. You hindered me. Every achievement I made was in spite of you. Her face turned red. You're being cruel, Jake. I shrugged. You reap what you sow. I turned to shut the door, but my dad, who had been mostly silent, muttered something under his breath. What was that? I asked. He looked up, his voice suddenly bitter. We should have never wasted our time coming here. You're just as selfish as we thought. I felt Emily tense beside me, but I smiled. A slow, satisfied smile. There it is. The real you, I said. You don't feel guilty. You don't regret anything. You're just mad that your golden boy did this to you. My mom sniffled, trying to turn the waterworks back on. We'll be homeless if you don't help us. I tilted my head, and she gasped like I had physically struck her. My dad clenched his fist that I was done. I stepped back, grabbed the door, and looked my mother dead in the eyes. This is the last time we'll speak. And this time, I mean it. Then, I slammed the door in their faces. But something told me this wasn't over. Because my mother, she never, ever loses without a fight. After I slammed the door, I stood there for a long moment, listening to my mother's muffled protests from the other side. She didn't leave right away. She knocked, then pounded, then wailed. Jake, please, she cried. We're family. You can't just turn your back on us. I turned and walked away. Emily exhaled sharply, rubbing her temples. I knew this was coming. I just didn't think they'd actually beg for money like this. Leo was sitting on the couch, completely unaware of the mess unfolding at our front door. He was watching cartoons, curled up in a blanket, still clutching the stuffed dinosaur we'd bought him after that Christmas night that I felt my chest tighten. He deserved better than this drama. I don't think they'll leave quietly, I muttered. Emily nodded. What do you want to do? I hesitated, then grabbed my phone. I'll give them 10 minutes to walk away. After that, I'm calling the cops. Emily smirked. Now that is the kind of energy I like to see. I checked the clock. 8 minutes passed. 9. 10. Finally, I peeked through the blinds. They were gone. I let out a slow breath, tension bleeding from my shoulders. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the last time I'd hear from them. And I was right. That night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., my phone rang. The vibration against the nightstand jolted me awake. I groggily reached for it, blinking at the caller ID. Mom. I silenced the call. Not 2 minutes later, she called again. I sighed, rejected it. A third time. Fourth. By the fifth call, Emily stirred beside me. Who the hell is calling at this hour? I held up the screen. Take a guess. She groaned. They're relentless. I rolled out of bed, walked to the living room, and let the next call go through. Mom, it's 2 in the morning. Jake. She sniffled, her voice hoarse like she'd been crying. I don't know what to do. We have nowhere to go. I pinched the bridge of my nose. And that's my problem, Hal. We're your parents, she screeched, all traces of sadness suddenly vanishing. You have an obligation to help us. I laughed bitterly. You didn't seem to feel any obligation when I was a kid, and you left me in the shadows while Ethan got everything. Now that he's burned you, you suddenly remember I exist. Jake, I made mistakes, okay? But we're desperate. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. No, Mom. You made your choices, and now you can live with them. Before she could respond, I hung up. She tried calling 3 more times before giving up. The next morning, I blocked her number. 3 days later, Emily and I were out grocery shopping while Leo was at school. We were just getting back when I spotted something that made my blood boil. My parents' car, parked right in front of our house. Emily groaned. Oh, for God's sake. I pulled into the driveway and stepped out, barely shutting my door before my mother came rushing toward me. Jake, she gasped. Oh, thank God you're home. We've been waiting for you. I crossed my arms. What the hell are you doing here? She sniffled dramatically. Jake, please, we just need to talk. I stared at her, expression flat. Talk, or beg for money again. Dad, who was leaning against their car, exhaled heavily. Jake, just hear us out. Emily was already walking toward the front door. I am so done with this, she muttered. Mom reached for my hand. Sweetheart, please. We're family. You can't just abandon us. I yanked my hand away. I did not abandon you. You abandoned me a long time ago. I just finally decided I was done chasing after parents who never gave a damn about me. Tears welled in her eyes. I I know we weren't perfect. Not perfect. I snapped. Mom, you looked my 6-year-old son in the eyes and told him he didn't matter because he wasn't Ethan's kid. Do you have any idea what that did to him? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I pressed on. He cried that night, Mom. He asked me if he did something wrong. He wondered if he was the problem. Do you know what that feels like? To watch your child hurt because of something you let happen. A flicker of guilt crossed her face. For a moment, I thought, maybe she'd finally get it. But then, she scoffed. Oh, come on, Jake. He's a child. He'll get over it. That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I took a slow, deep breath. Then, calmly, I said, leave. My mom flinched. Jake, I now. She looked like she wanted to argue, but my dad, seeing the fire in my eyes, grabbed her arm. Let's go. No, she yanked away. I won't leave. Not until he helps us. I pulled out my phone. Then I hope you enjoy explaining to the police why you're trespassing. That finally did it. She let out a furious screech, spun on her heel, and stomped toward the car. Dad followed, looking exhausted. As they drove off, Emily sighed. I highly doubt that's the last time we'll see them. I exhaled slowly. Oh, I know it's not. Because if I knew my mother, she wasn't going to give up that easily. To know she was going to do something much worse, and I had no idea just how far she was willing to go. I clenched my jaw. Now? We wait. Because they aren't done. And I was right. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally, I ignore those. But something told me to pick up. Hello? A clipped, professional voice responded. Is this Jacob Reynolds? Yes. This is Principal Holloway from Willow Creek Elementary. I'm calling regarding your son, Leo. My stomach dropped. What? Is he okay? The principal hesitated. He's fine. But there was an incident today. Emily, who had been sitting next to me, looked up sharply. What happened? I demanded. The principal sighed. Your son's grandparents came to the school today. They tried to check him out early. I froze. They what? They claimed they had your permission. They even provided old emergency contact forms. But when the front office called to confirm, we noticed the numbers didn't match the ones you currently have on file. I stood up so fast my chair nearly tipped over. My hands were shaking. Where are they now? We denied the checkout, of course. But when we told them we were calling you, they left. I squeezed my eyes shut, taking slow, deep breaths. Thank you for telling me. I'll be there soon. I hung up. Emily was already grabbing her keys. No, absolutely not. I know. My voice was tight with anger. I drove to the school, hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. Leo was waiting in the front office, sitting quietly in one of the chairs. He looked confused, like he didn't understand why his grandparents had even been there. When he saw me, his face lit up. Dad, he ran into my arms. I held him tight. Hey, buddy, you okay? He nodded. Yeah, but Grandma was acting weird. She said we were going to go to an amusement park and get ice cream. He looked up at me, but I didn't believe her. My chest ached. You did the right thing, kiddo. I kissed the top of his head. You always wait for me or Mom, okay? He nodded. I turned to the principal, who looked just as disturbed as I felt. This isn't going to happen again, I told her. Principal Holloway nodded. I'd recommend adding a restricted persons list to Leo's file. That way, even if they try again, our staff will know to refuse them immediately. Done. I signed the paperwork that very moment. Emily, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up as we left. Jake, I don't think this was just about money anymore. I frowned. What do you mean? She exhaled slowly. They hate that you cut them off. They don't just want your money. They want control. They want to prove they still have a hold on your life. She was right, and I was done letting them play their twisted games. I spent that night preparing. First, I filed a police report. Then, I sent my parents a text that do not contact me again. You are no longer welcome in my life or in Leo's. If you attempt to see him again, I will get a restraining order. This is your final warning. That I didn't wait for a response. But when I woke up the next morning, I had 10 missed calls from my mother and a voicemail that made my blood run cold. You think you can just cut us out? You think you can take our grandson away from us? We're not done, Jacob. You'll see. You'll regret this. She hung up, and I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Emily sat up beside me in bed, rubbing her eyes. What is it? I played the voicemail for her. She went rigid. That's a threat, she said flatly. I nodded. Yeah. Emily's face hardened. So what are we gonna do about it? I took a deep breath. We're going to make sure they can't hurt us again. The next morning, I went straight to the police station. I told them everything. The emotional abuse, the financial manipulation, the incident at the school, the voicemail. The officer at the desk listened patiently, taking notes. When I was done, he sighed. This is serious. Given the voicemail and their attempt to pick up your son without permission, I'd recommend filing for a restraining order. We'll also document this as a formal complaint. Restraining order? I repeated. I had never thought I'd need to take it this far. But then I thought about Leo, about my parents trying to take him, about the way my mother said you'll regret this, like she still believed she had power over me. I exhaled sharply. Yeah, let's do it. The process wasn't quick. I had to provide a sworn statement, submit the voicemail as evidence, and explain exactly why I believed my parents posed a threat. When the officer asked, "Do you have reason to believe they would harm Leo?" I didn't hesitate. Yes. Because at this point, I didn't know how far they'd go. Once the paperwork was filed, I met with an attorney. I needed to make sure that, legally, my parents had zero leverage. The lawyer was blunt. If they try to take this to court, they'll lose. But just in case, I'd suggest making it official that they have no rights to visit Leo. And so, I added a no grandparent visitation rights clause to our family legal documents. With that, I had everything in place: a police report, a restraining order request, legal proof that they had no rights to my son. And I thought that would be the end of it. A week passed with no contact. No calls, no texts. For a brief moment, I thought they had finally accepted defeat. Then one evening, Emily walked into the living room, holding her phone. She looked pale. What's wrong? I asked. She swallowed. Jake, have you seen Facebook today? I frowned. No, she hesitated, then handed me her phone. You should. I glanced at the screen. It was my mother's Facebook page. And there, right at the top, was a public post, a very long, very dramatic post. It breaks my heart to say this, but our own son has turned against us. After everything we've done for him, after raising him, loving him, supporting him, he has banned us from seeing our own grandson. He is punishing us for no reason. We don't even know what we did wrong. Please, if you know Jacob, tell him that family is more important than pride. We just want to be part of our grandson's life. Is that so much to ask? And below it, hundreds of comments. People saying, "Oh my God, that's horrible. What kind of son does that?" Others asking, "What happened?" And then the worst part, I started recognizing names. Aunt Linda, Uncle Rob, my cousins. People I hadn't spoken to in years were commenting things like, "I had no idea Jacob was like this. He needs to grow up and stop being so selfish. Let's all reach out to him. He needs to hear from family." Emily looked at me, eyes full of fury. They're turning everyone against you. And just like that, my phone started blowing up. Texts. Missed calls. Point one from my uncle. Jake, what the hell is going on? Your parents are devastated. Another from a cousin I barely even spoke to. Dude, this is messed up. Just let them see their grandson. I clenched my jaw. They're trying to shame me into letting them back in. Emily folded her arms. So what are you going to do? I exhaled slowly. Then I said, I'm going to end this. I stared at the Facebook post, my stomach churning with anger. They were trying to manipulate me. Again, trying to rewrite reality and make themselves look like victims. And for a moment, I felt that familiar pull, the old instinct to explain myself, to try and justify my actions, to make them see reason. But I knew better now. They didn't want reason. They wanted control. And they had just given me exactly what I needed to destroy them. I took a deep breath, then did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my Facebook page and started typing. Since my parents have chosen to air this publicly, let's talk about the truth. Growing up, my parents played favorites. They lavished love and money on my cousin, while treating me like an afterthought. I tolerated it for years, hoping things would change. But then, when my son, their own grandson, was the one being treated like garbage, I finally had enough. At Christmas, they gave expensive gifts to every other child except mine. When my son asked why, my mother told him, gifts are for those who earn them. He was 6, a child, and she told him he wasn't worth it, so I cut them off. And in response, they tried to take my son from school without permission. When that failed, they left me a voicemail threatening that I'd regret this. Now, they're trying to play the victims online, hoping to manipulate people into siding with them. So let me be clear. My parents are not victims. They are abusers who got cut off for their own actions. And they will never see my son again. If you think I'm wrong for protecting my child from toxic people, feel free to remove me from your life. Because unlike them, I will never put family above my child's well-being. I attached screenshots, the text where they said Leo didn't matter, the voicemail where my mother threatened me, and even the police report showing that I had already taken legal action. Then I hit post. It took minutes for the comments section to explode. People who had blindly supported my parents suddenly backtracked. Wait, they said your son didn't matter? What the hell? I thought this was just a misunderstanding, but that's insane. I believed their side at first, but now, yeah, they deserve to get cut off. One by one, the supporters vanished. A few relatives tried to defend them, saying things like, but they're still your parents. But the overwhelming majority turned against them. And then, my mother made the biggest mistake of all. She commented, "How dare you? We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? Lying to everyone and making us look like monsters? You owe us respect." I stared at it, shaking my head. They never learned. I didn't even bother responding. I just deleted them, blocked them. And then, I watched. Within hours, their post was taken down. Whether out of shame or because too many people called them out, I didn't know, and I didn't care. A few days later, I got one last call from a number I didn't recognize. I picked up that it was my mother. Her voice was hoarse, exhausted. "Jake, we need to talk." I closed my eyes. "No, we don't." Her breath hitched. We didn't mean, you did." I cut in. "You always meant it. And now, you're facing the consequences." A long silence. Then, "We're family." I let out a slow breath. "Not anymore." And I hung up. It's been 6 months. My parents are completely out of our lives. No calls, no messages, nothing. Leo is thriving. He doesn't ask about them anymore, and I know that's for the best. Emily and I are at peace. And me, for the first time in my life, I feel free.